G'day there guys, it's your Aussie Hubby Markee, back at it again with another r/am I the a-hole video. Now I heard your comments from last video, so this is going to be a lot better hopefully. Now with that said, I want you to sit back, relax, chuck a prawn on the barbie, and get ready for some bloody contentious opinions. Our first post is by user, oh shit, they were go again. Titled, Am I the a-hole for renaming my son's 2 guinea pigs to names that I prefer over names he chose for them? My son is 10. 1 year ago, he asked for a pet guinea pig. We have a large garden, so I agreed, but only with some terms. I would cover the upkeep of food, bedding, and pig treats and toys. He would have to save up half the money for a large hutch, and I would pay for a large outdoor run. He agreed and did his chores. And for his birthday, I paid for 2 guinea pigs from a local seller. My son named the guinea pigs Pudding and Candy. Within days of buying them, my son lost interest. He refused to feed them, refused to clean them, and refused to move their run around the garden, so they were on fresh grass. I warned him multiple times that I would take possession of the pigs as my own. I discussed with my husband before we got them that I would quite enjoy having them in the garden, as I had guinea pigs growing up and always adored them. So after a few months of doing 100% of the work myself, I renamed the guinea pigs Gerald and Roach. When my son was in the garden playing, he heard me calling them to get into their pen. I moved them from the outdoor run and pen to the indoor shed pen at night. He threw an absolutely huge tantrum and demanded I change the names back. I said if he began looking after them like he was supposed to, that he could change the names back. He continued to sulk and moan, but eventually agreed on these terms. It's been a week since that tantrum, and he hasn't been near them since. He sulks every day about the names, but refuses to help. My husband has told me to just change the names back and let it go. But I prefer those names, and seeing as I'm doing all the work, and I see them as my pets now, not as my son's, why shouldn't I? I will gladly rethink this situation if I am wrong or missing the point, but I just don't think my husband's point is very fair. My son needs more discipline already, as he seems to be so demanding and sulky lately. Am I the a-hole? I was all set to call you an a-hole, but you're actually just parenting. This is a good way to teach him that there are consequences for being irresponsible without him having to fall off something and hurt himself like the rest of us. Not the a-hole. And besides, they're objectively cooler names. Thank you. I do feel really bad, but he's putting in absolutely zero effort into changing things. Well then, he'll learn that things stay the same if you don't try to change them. 2 lessons for the price of 1. 1 lesson per guinea pig. Top parenting. Thank you. I was going to give you You're the a-hole, but after I read through, not the a-hole. It's parenting and teaching a lesson of consequences, and especially for the names, Gerald and Roach. Pleading you the next will be Triss or Siri, if there will be any more guinea pigs. Not the a-hole. This is actually the most responsible and reasonable reaction I've seen to the classic issue of a kid not caring for the pet he begged for. I'm so glad that you made sure that you would be happy having the guinea pigs yourself before you got them. Thank you so much for not giving away the piggies to teach him a lesson, which is such a common and awful response. I think this is perfect. The piggies are happy, you are happy, and your son is getting a mild but clearly felt reminder that if you don't care for your pet, it's not really your pet. Totally appropriate. And his lack of work and presence of tantrums isn't a sign that this is unreasonable. It's a sign that he is a kid and he's trying to find an easy way out where he gets to call them his but doesn't do the work. Hold the line, be patient and calm, and explain that he really needs to do work if he wants them to be his. Not for your sake, but for theirs. Being a pet owner isn't about a possession, it's about a relationship, and that needs to happen every day. This was a very kind response, thank you. I see it all the time around here. People on Facebook giving away guinea pigs and rabbits they bought on a whim, kept in tiny cages that are almost meant only for transportation, and then asking people to take them away on Facebook, or dumping them, and it's heartbreaking. I got them with the backup intent of their care falling to me, and secretly wanting pigs again since I was a kid. But I do need to be more firm with my son, he's getting hard to handle. Our next post is by Fiery Dad, titled, Am I the a-hole for missing the birth of my first child so a mate could spend time with her dying grandfather? This is a horrible situation, and I need to know if my wife is justified. My wife gave birth to our first baby 3 days ago. We've had a rough few years with 2 miscarriages and a stillbirth at 37 weeks, so my wife was terrified this whole pregnancy. I am a firefighter and was on duty when my wife went into labor. Her doctor said that it would likely be a little while, so I decided to stay at the base for a little longer because it is about mayhem, and we're never enough people anyway. Then one of my mates gets a call that her grandfather had a heart attack and will probably not make it. Obviously, she was devastated. Things got really hectic. We got called out to another fire, and our captain said one of us could go, but not both. I told my colleague not to worry. She should go and spend time with her grandfather since it will be her last chance. So I had to go out and missed out on the birth of my child. I got there 2 hours after my girl was born. I felt horrible and apologized profusely to my wife, but she just yelled at me, said I let her down in the scariest moment of her life, and then told me to leave. So I left and waited in the hallway. It's been 3 days, and she refuses to say anything apart from the bare minimum related to the baby. They can leave tomorrow, and she's informed me that she was going to stay with her sister, who recently had a baby too, until she knows what to do about our relationship, or what's left of it. I understand that it must have been scary for her, but my reasoning is that only one of us could leave, and I will have a whole life to be with my child, whereas my mate only had a few hours with her loved one left. You're the a-hole. Your wife had a stillbirth at 37 weeks. Being in labor again would have been 10 times scarier for her compared to most, and labor is terrifying already to anyone. You chose your friend over her when she needed you more than probably she ever has. I just had a baby after a miscarriage, and I absolutely would not have been able to get through it without my husband there with me. This is an incredibly sad situation, but the wife is justified in her feelings. Me too. Mine was at 7 weeks and I was scared until my baby was in my arms. I can't imagine what it would be like with a stillborn at 37 weeks. OP is a huge dick, and I'm guessing this is the straw that broke the camel's back. Is this the hill you're willing to die on? Is it seriously worth throwing your relationship away to justify your actions? Stop making excuses and apologize. Grovel. Ask how to make it better and apologize more. You left your wife alone in one of the scariest moments of her life. She gave birth to a stillborn baby, a baby she felt move and kick, a baby she had to deliver. You don't think that was on her mind every single second she was in labor? Did you think about the fear she faced at that moment, only to be abandoned by you when she needed you? You prioritized a mate over your wife, and you're still trying to justify it. You're so far beyond you're the a-hole. I don't even know what to call you. If she doesn't take you back, you deserve it. If she does take you back, you darn well better be grateful that you have an amazing wife who loves you more than you can fathom. She needed her partner, her husband, the father of her child, and this is what she will remember. And they posted an update on this one. Update: am I the a-hole for missing the birth of my first child so a mate could be with her dying grandfather? Lots of you wanted an update on my last post. It's nothing spectacular, so don't get your hopes up too much. Many of you said how it wasn't about being there for the baby, but that I should have been there for my wife. You are absolutely right. I acknowledged my mistakes and apologized to my wife. I suggested we get therapy and she agreed. We're all back home together now and have been for a while. Things are good for us and we're happy with our little family. For those of you who suspected that I cheated with my workmate, you were wrong. I may have been an arsehole in how I dealt with my wife giving birth, but I would never cheat. I love my wife very much, and I'm happy she's given me another chance, and intend on being the best husband and dad that my family could wish for. I hadn't seen your original post, but have just read it now, and wow, I'm glad that you guys went through therapy and consider yourself extremely lucky that your wife has forgiven you, or at least says she has. I agree with the overwhelming you're the a-hole verdict in the original post, as you made the situation about you spending time with your child rather than being with your wife in the scariest moments of her entire life. I hope that you have been able to do a lot of self-reflection since then. You can't change the past, but you can change your behavior for the future. Read it to my husband. He didn't even pause before saying, wife is an a-hole and he was being selfless. Guess I should never get pregnant. Our next post is by Physicians and Yarn, titled, Would I be the a-hole if I sent a Bible verse to my church's group chat? Recently, my church has started a new initiative wherein they encourage members to do one good deed a week. Absolutely fine, nothing wrong with that at all. However, they are also encouraging members to take photos, /post online, /tell people of their good deeds. This, in my mind, goes directly against what the Bible says. The specific verse I'm thinking of is Matthew 6:1. Be careful not to practice your righteousness in front of others to be seen by them. If you do, you will have no reward from your Father in heaven. NIV. Which I take to mean, do good deeds, but not so you can show off about them, because it's good to do good things. Treat people well, take care of them, etc. But don't then showcase how amazing you are for doing them. So would I be the arsehole if I sent that particular verse to the same church group chat where people are showing off their church-sanctioned one good deed a week? Not the a-hole. Religious hypocrisy is gross. Fair warning though, you may want to soften it with a little intro like, hey everyone, so glad we're doing these wonderful things for the community, but I'm uncomfortable with how we are advertising the good works on social media, insert Bible verse. I'm not saying that because I think religious hypocrites deserve coddling, but because religious hypocrites tend to be very sensitive when called out, and if this is a primary social group for you that you want to keep, tread lightly. Also, Matthew 6:3 says, But when you give to the needy, do not let your left hand know what your right hand is doing. Charitable acts should never be used for your own fame and benefit. Looking at you, TikTok. That is part of the full quote from OP. The part in the middle is just as powerful. 1. Be careful not to practice your righteousness in front of others to be seen by them. If you do, you will have no reward from your Father in heaven. 2. So when you give to the needy, do not announce it with trumpets, as the hypocrites do in the synagogues and on the streets, to be honored by others. Truly I tell you, they have received their reward in full. 3. But when you do give to the needy, do not let your left hand know what your right hand is doing. And Dead Before Dessert says, You're the a-hole. Sending them that particular Bible verse would be doing exactly what you're accusing them of doing. Look how righteous I am. At least they're being righteous over good deeds. You're being righteous over being righteous about righteousness. Or something. I disagree. The fact that OP has posted here to ask Reddit's opinion on the matter, to me, shows that she is truly genuine. Someone who was consciously or subconsciously trying to make themselves look good wouldn't have come to Reddit first for advice. She would have just posted the verse. I think OP is genuinely and is actually concerned about being good for the sake of being good and not for admiration. I actually went the other way here. Some people genuinely post here for moral advice, but other posts are looking for reassurance or praise, having already decided that they're not the a-hole and then become defensive when the comments disagree. If OP is trying to relish at admiration, then posting here would be more evidence that she's vain and just wanted to let everyone know how righteous she is being. I agree it can go both ways, but I think the fact that she posted here can also be interpreted both ways itself. And that Dead Before Dessert replies to the original comment, well, and I disagree with you and your logic, and that's totally okay. We're allowed to disagree, and it's probably better for OP to hear different opinions and arguments and then use them to form their own opinion. I honestly do think that if OP is truly genuinely concerned, they would have gone first to someone in their church community and talked it over first. A clergyman, pastor, spiritual advisor, or even just a friend who's generally got their head screwed on straight, spiritually speaking. Like, don't ask a bunch of Reddit randos. Go to someone who you trust who is going to be able to provide you with some community-specific guidance. Our next post is by Deleted User, titled, Am I the a-hole for not wanting a relationship with my parents now that they've cut me off? I'm a student. My parents make enough money that when I went through student finance to get my maintenance loan, I was told I could only get the minimum, just over $3,000 a year, because finance is calculated from what your parents earn, and there's an assumption that your parents will help you out. I'm on a high-intensity course, and I wasn't sure how I'd be able to balance studying and schooling. So when I found out I was going to get the minimum, I told my parents I wanted to either take the year coming to save up, and then go to my first choice university a year later than planned, or go to my second choice now, because I wouldn't be able to afford to live in the city my first choice is in. My parents then said that they would pay my rent if I went to my first choice on schedule. They set me up in a studio flat, so all I had to do was get a part-time job to cover the cost of my food and bills. On the 18th of February, my 20th birthday, they called me and said that I was relying on them too much and needed to find out what the real world was like by earning my own money. So they would cover the rent and phone for that month, so until the end of February, and after that I was on my own. Then said that they were still my parents and they loved me and wanted me to stay in touch. Just learn some independence while doing this. I begged them to reconsider, but they ended the call. So I had 11 days notice that I would have no flat or phone. I begged my university for emergency housing, but they said that I had no proof I'd been cut off, so they couldn't do anything. I emailed my parents asking them to write a letter stating that they had cut me off so I could sort my student finance and emergency housing. They said no. I asked work if I could take on more hours and was told that due to my contract, I can't do any more than I'm already doing, so I'm now looking for a second job. I'm sleeping on a friend's sofa until a place I can afford opens up, and as I still don't have proof I've been cut off for student finance, I will probably have to drop out this summer. I got a message on Facebook from one of them today, telling me that they were disappointed I didn't call on my mum's birthday a couple days ago, and that I've not given them my new phone number yet. I responded telling them the position I'm currently in and that I no longer want a relationship with them. I've gotten a bunch of messages from them and my brothers asking me to reconsider. My friend says I shouldn't feel bad, but I feel incredibly guilty and like a spoiled brat, because I don't love my family for their money. I love them because they're my family, but at the same time, they've really screwed me over. Am I the a-hole for not wanting a relationship with them? Update, I messaged them asking why they cut me off, saying the least they could do was explain why they're fine leaving me homeless. They responded, my friend, the one I'm staying with, is an out and proud lesbian. There are maybe 2 posts about me on her social media. One being a group shot of us and some people we were studying with in the library with me and her sat together, and another from a couple days before my birthday where she posted a photo of me when we were out to lunch, because we weren't planning on seeing each other on my actual birthday. And in the caption she refers to me as Princess, in a clearly joking way. My brothers then showed our parents and told them I was a lesbian and she was my girlfriend. So now I have proof that they cut me off, proof that they're homophobic, and confirmation that they can and will switch on me at the drop of a hat, as well as proof of my brothers, who are older than me and living with our parents, being jealous crapheads. They didn't just tell me this on the phone, because they hoped I'd figure it out, which is tricky, and there's a little asterisk there. They did say given that it's not fudging true, but hey. Apparently there's enough affection still there for them to expect a call on my mum's birthday, but not enough to not totally freak me over. So yeah, never talking to them again. Any of them. I've sent the screenshots to the person I spoke to in emergency housing, though I've been warned that for something called emergency housing, it's not very fast. My friend has said I can stay with her as long as I need. The reply my parents sent hasn't explicitly said the phrase, "We cut you off because," but given the context of them replying to my message asking why, it should be enough. Thanks everyone, I felt really crappy cutting them off over finances, but now I know they're pure fudging evil, I don't feel so bad. I've also sent my parents the screenshots of my brother confirming that he and my brother lied about me, and they are very apologetic. But that doesn't change anything. As my brothers live with my parents, I hope they're all very happy together right now. New plan. Changing the focus of my studies going into 3rd year to focus on the subjects I want to do, not the ones my parents wanted me to do. If I do this, I have a far better shot at getting a work placement. It's far less popular than my current field of study. And if I get a work placement, I can spend my 3rd year working full-time, earning a bit of cash, and then resume my studies the following year. Failing this, and if I can't get any help from the university or student finance, then I will defer my 3rd year and work full-time for a year. My friend says I can stay with her as long as I need, and has said if I can't get emergency housing, but can sort out my placement or another job, then we could get a place together next year, so I have a confirmed roommate. I no longer think I'm the a-hole, so I'll probably be taking this down. And the asterisk about whether she's lesbian or not. So here's the thing, I might not be straight. I'm figuring it out, and I don't really have the capacity to go through it right now, but I've never said anything to anyone, at all, ever, because I knew my parents are homophobic. So my brothers may have thought that they were lying, but they also may have been inadvertently correct, and I have to say being correct by accident is very typical of them. And Sing Scott Lawyer says, not the a-hole, your parents royally screwed you over here. You had 2 separate plans to be able to afford to go to university yourself, and they said if you went to your first choice, they would help you out. To then cut you off with very little warning is completely unfair. I don't blame you for not wanting a relationship with them after they've put you in this position. Also, refusing to help OP prove the need for financial aid and housing so OP can be independent as they want is so absurd I can't even understand why they do that. It's obvious, isn't it? They know what they're doing is wrong and don't want to admit to being really crappy to anyone. They are the same type of people who would send their kid away for being gay or pregnant outside of wedlock to make sure that their reputation was pristine. They're probably claiming OP's schooling on their income tax. If they acknowledge in writing that OP is no longer their dependent, they say bye-bye to that write-off. And there is an update to that last post. Recap on my first post. My parents cut me off financially with 10 days notice and BS reasoning. They had offered to pay my rent throughout university, so I had 10 days to find a new place to live. I ended up sleeping on my friend's sofa. About 6 weeks of no contact later, they called me asking me why I hadn't called to wish my mum a happy birthday. I wanted to know if I was the a-hole for not wanting anything to do with them, given the way they cut me off. And it later came out that the reason they cut me off is that my older brothers told them I'm a lesbian, which I might be, still figuring that out, but my brothers didn't know that. I sent my parents proof my brothers lied, and they apologized, but I've not forgiven them and probably won't ever. I'd applied for emergency housing and a full student finance loan, but as I couldn't prove my parents cut me off, the services I had to go through said they couldn't help me. I was also looking into a work placement as my course offers them, and they pay a decent amount. So, here's how everything has shaped up. I won't be getting emergency housing from uni. I've not heard anything and there's less than a month left before summer, so I would be shocked if I got it at this stage. I'm still living with my friend, and she got me a job at her workplace but refuses to take any rent off me, so I've been repaying her by sneakily buying food and cooking her dinners as I get home before her. We have plans to move in together this summer, ready for next year. My parents have done a complete 180, and now want me to forgive them so badly that they're still refusing to sign a letter showing they've cut me off. So I'm still screwed with student finance. My parents have also offered me my truck back, so me, my roommate, and 2 more friends will be going to my parents' house sometime soon to collect my truck and some things from my room. My tutor has written a letter for me for student finance, which they might accept, but I'm waiting to hear back. My course changes were approved, so I'm now doing what I want, not what my parents want, and it looks like I got my work placement. So, I'll either be working and studying part-time for 2 years, or working all next year and finishing studies the year after. Either way, I'll be adding an extra year to my course, but I get paid and get relevant experience in my field. Ultimately, everything seems to have worked out as well as it could. Thanks to everyone who commented, because a lot of you had great advice and thought of stuff that I didn't. And I was truly concerned that I was in the wrong, so thanks for the reassurance too. I will also be booking a session with the on-campus mental health professional because this has really shone a light on just how screwed up my family is. Thanks again. And regards to the truck back, this is a trap. Please be careful and don't expect to have your truck back. Good luck. As a side note, if you fully own the truck and title and they refuse to give it to you, be prepared to take them to court. Make sure they don't have a lien on the title. If she legally owns the truck and title, can't she just have an officer accompany her to the house so she can pick it up? I don't know if going to court is even needed. And yeah, what do you guys think? Is it a trap? Is she going to be going to court? Is she going to have police there as an escort? I guess we won't know the answer to this one because that was a good update, and I don't think there is need for another update. Anyway guys, this has been Markee today. I hope this was an improvement on last episode. I was able to cover 4 different posts, 4 different questions, as compared to 10 in the last post, with still the same amount of time done, but we can thank that to this post being like 10 minutes long, this last one. Tell me what you guys thought of this one today. I'm going to be posting a lot of these because there's so much content in the Am I the A-hole subreddit, so if you guys like it, chuck a like, chuck a comment down below, tell me what you liked, tell me what you didn't like about it, and I'll see you in the next episode. Bye!